Have you ever tried to help somebody who you saw was off track, only to have them resist your help? Why is that? What I call the main human fears. And that is a fear that nearly every single human carries with them. It controls a lot of how we react or don't react, especially to what people would say are good intentions or advice from others, and causes us to resist most of the time. And that is the fear that we're not enough. Someone we care about, that we want to be able to help, because we see that if they just stop doing that, it would be easier. And we approach them and we say, hey, don't worry, I can help. Why don't you do this? Or why don't you try that? Because while we are saying the words, or in our mind, the intention is, I want to be able to help and I have a way that I know can help, what they're actually hearing is, I'm not good enough where I'm at, and therefore you're telling me how to get better. And if I even accept your advice, it means I have to accept the premise that I'm currently not good enough. And most people will do almost anything to avoid having to internalize that reality, even if it's staring you in the face that they are self-sabotaging, or wasting their potential, or going down a path that could only lead to unproductivity at best and the complete destruction of their life at worst. So when you understand, where does this primary fear come from? Well, for a lot of people, it happens during childhood. And this isn't to belittle a model of parenting, it's just to really put some explanations to it. But the general model of parenting is that when a child is old enough to have a two-way level of understanding, maybe 2 years old, there is a communication style that the parents adopt, or the caregivers adopt, to essentially say that if the child performs in a way that is in alignment with the values that the parents are trying to instill, then that behavior is rewarded. If the child is acting up or doing something that could potentially harm them, like walking near a wall socket with a wet finger, then you will then correct that. It's no surprise that the first word that most children learn, or most babies learn to say, is no, because when they're doing things right, we don't praise them, we just are silent because there's no danger. But we're wired to be alert for danger and only reinforce when they get close or start to cross that perimeter around the danger zone. So a lot of the child grow up realizing that if I perform in a way that is in alignment with what mom and dad are saying is good, I get either rewarded through connection or neutrality, i.e. I don't get demonished. And if I don't act in accordance with the values that my parents are trying to bring me up with in the best way that they can, then I am criticized, or I'm scolded, or I'm told off. And that essentially in the child's mind equals or equates to lack of love. Now, it's not lack of love in reality. The parents are putting their best into it, and they love their child no matter what. They're just doing it out of a fear of protecting them from danger. I get that. It means by our earliest memory, let's say 4, 5, 6 years old, we've already had years of being conditioned that love is given when we do things right, and the perception is it's taken away or withdrawn when we do things wrong. And that means that we are grown up as this almost attention-seeking, approval-seeking, validation-seeking machines that are trying to do the right thing to get love, approval, and recognition. The vast majority of people that I see that are dysfunctional in life in terms of being able to have a life of success that they can fulfill their potential with versus ones that don't, is because they're externally validated. They're constantly still seeking a place to reattach their umbilical cord to get some level of pat on the back, compliments, reward, acknowledgement. Generally speaking, if you try to help somebody who is walking down a path that you can see would lead to destruction, and we try to help them, they will resist it. Not because your advice isn't sound. All they hear is, I'm not good enough. And at that point, they will discount anything that comes in after that, simply because it triggers that fear that they're not enough. Now, how do you help somebody from that perspective? Well, as I said, unsolicited coaching will always be resisted for that reason. you know already that if you want something for somebody else more than they want it for themselves, generally you're wasting your time 99 times out of 100. And it's tough when we see people we love walk down that path. I get it. But the way to be able to counter that, there's only one way that I found that's effective, and that is to be the example and the invitation to inspire them onto a different path. A lot of people are walking down because they just don't think it's possible. Now, if you are trapped in a maze and you've just normalized that because you're desensitized to it because you're in victim mode for so long, but part of you would like to get out, then you can be inspired when somebody walks a path out or shows you an opportunity that allows you to say, wow, it's possible. If somebody is more committed to defining themselves by being in the maze, I can't really help. So it starts with working on ourselves. It always comes back to being able to be the example of self-mastery. And if you can do that without trying to be the lecturer, but instead be the invitation, you'll have far more opportunity to inspire people out.